Hey, we are finally back. Sorry, I was trying to get it to where it was showing up on X because for some reason it's not.
Yeah. So about that, man. So Elon is
Real account
yeah,
required.
Elon is a stingy rich bastard and will not let you go live on Twitter unless you have a premium subscription to Twitter. And so we can no longer, unless one of you guys want to pay for it, because I'm sure as hell not giving him no more money.
Absolutely.
I logged into Twitter for the first time in a year today.
Yeah, so Jared's probably not a candidate to do it either. So until that changes, we basically just have to go live on YouTube because Elon has taken away our ability to go live on Twitter unless we pay him for it. So here we are on YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a surprise, a nice little surprise whenever we just went live because it was set to go live on Twitter before I hit the go live button, and then the nice little infomercials popped up in the top right hand corner let me know that it wouldn't let us do that anymore. So we're just on YouTube. So we just got to direct people on over to the YouTube channel, which is okay. You know, the reality is the video quality sucks on Twitter anyway, and the video quality experience is much better on YouTube as it is. So
before we get too much in the weeds here, has anybody seen the Tesla trucks yet?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts
just like
on
the
that?
Cybertruck, or is there a different one?
Yeah, the Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one actually that like around here. It's like drives around. I see it pretty frequently.
It looks like a Mad Max vehicle to me.
Yeah, they're weird. Not a fan.
No, not really. I'm not really either.
But anyway, we're all probably like 0 people watching now because we can't stream on Twitter.
Yeah, that's where most of our viewers used to come from, at least for the live portion. We get a decent amount of watchbacks, you know, at least for our channel. I mean, we don't have a ton of subscribers, but for the amount of subscribers we have, we get a decent amount of watchbacks after the show has been published on YouTube. But most of the live viewers used to come from Twitter. So, hey, the good news is there's really not any pressure about being live now. We could just do what we always do. Which
there was no pressure anyway because I don't care.
You just don't have to worry about any Colts fans crucifying you live, Landon. Most of them will just come back and do it later.
Yeah, they'll just do it. Actually, this is so funny. I saw a tweet earlier, and it was like, what's like the meanest fan base that you deal with? And it's, you know, like, where like all of your interactions.
The one you support.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, because I was sitting there thinking, and it's like, you know, like it's kind of funny that like I don't really get any pushback from really any other fan base. Except for the Colts, like 99% of all like the hating that comes towards my way are from actual Colts fans, which is kind of funny.
That is kind of funny.
So yeah, my meanest sports franchise or whatever on Twitter, meanest fans on Twitter, Indianapolis Colts.
How about that?
Yeah. So,
and the good news is for them is you are back to piss them off once again tonight.
I am. That's what I do. Apparently, you know. So, anytime you could. Actually, last night I ruined some guy's night last night. Apparently, I don't know what I did to him, but I posted something on the internet, and he was not a fan, and he let me know it. He doesn't even follow me. He somehow found it, and he kept going.
Oh, like, this guy stinks.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like. But the SpongeBob fish. But anyway, so if you are watching us for some reason, we are the Three Man Rush podcast. We are live on YouTube right now. No longer live on Twitter. Thanks, Elon.
Rip.
Just another trash website again. And you are joining us because we are finally doing our annual NFL divisional preview, where we will be breaking down, reviewing all the divisions tonight. So it's probably going to be a little bit of a longer show. We're going to be giving you our division winners, the place, the seeds of how we think everything's going to play off in each division, which will give you a better picture of the playoffs that we will predict, which we are always right on. And then
100% success rate.
that will lead into a show here in a few weeks, or really just a couple weeks because season's almost started, where we do our playoff preview. We pick our Super Bowl winners, awards, MVPs, all that
MVPs. Yep.
defensive rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year, all that kind of good stuff. So that will not be tonight, but tonight we will focus on the bulk of that, which will be the divisional previews. First off, I'm your host, Landon Oliver, here with my two co-hosts, Andrew Scott and Jared Holly down there, the big Twitter man himself, Jared. Just wanted to check in.
Followers, baby.
Yeah, how you guys doing tonight?
Doing wonderful, man. It is not to get too off topic, but has Juan Soto hit like 3 home runs tonight or something?
He's went off. I played him, but it didn't matter.
I've got him on my ESPN fantasy baseball team, and I get a notification every time he goes yard. And I swear to God, either my phone's glitched or I've gotten the notification like 3 fucking times.
Let's see here. Oh Lord, yeah, he went bananas. He had 3 home runs and 4 RBIs.
Jesus Christ, that dude, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's got you 19 points.
59 on FanDuel.
Yeah, say I bet on FanDuel cashing out. Oh, that's crazy.
I've lost like 7 in a row in that league just because my team is just decimated right now.
Right down the stretch too. That's brutal.
Yeah. So I was in the playoff hunt. I was like 7-5 or something like that. Yeah. And then I've lost. I was 7-5 and I've lost 7 in a row.
Damn. You're the White Sox of your league, bro.
Yeah, I had like, and it wasn't like small like injuries. Like it was like Kyle Tucker, like those type of injuries where it's like
key guys.
Yeah, like there's nothing I can do about this.
There's nothing you can do.
So whatever, it's all good. Anyway, NFL season's here. Preseason just started as well. Just got through week 1 of that. It's always fun to see football on your screen. I'm actually one of like the weird people though. I enjoy preseason football because I love watching like the end of roster guys, like because those guys care so much because they're trying to actually make the team. So you don't get this like lackadaisical, like shitty effort. Like you get dudes that are going all out for like 2 or 3 quarters because they're trying to make the roster. And it ends up being good football, and everybody like loves college football. And like these end of the roster guys were like really good college football players. Yeah. So it's like watching like an elevated version of college football a little bit.
So basically SEC.
I mean, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it really is crazy. Just the talent difference from high school to college, and then even more so again from college to the NFL. Like it's easy to forget just how special these guys are at their craft. And like you'll hear sometimes we'll say so-and-so is trash or so-and-so is ass. And like that's compared to the other people that they're playing against. In the grand scheme of things, these guys are all fucking awesome at football. And it's kind of easy to
That's what's always like so funny to me too about like quarterbacks. Like everybody's like, oh, like this, like I've seen like the Kurt Benkirk guy. He does like a YouTube.
And people shitting on him
and for like, man, this guy barely even playing the NFL. Like this guy was a professional NFL quarterback. Like he's like in the top like 1% of all quarterbacks in the entire world.
You'll like this, Landon.
Yes. Thank you. I've actually been following his Anthony Gold stuff. I believe the night of the draft, he had a tweet actually where he tweeted out about Anthony Gold, and I think he's in for a pretty cool year, man.
My dude. That's what that was something Chris highlighted about him. But He's deep in the weeds, dude. He's like a college fantasy football expert. Like he
Oh, that's
specializes
awesome.
in that shit. So like he knows these college guys to the core, man. So it's he's definitely somebody a lot of folks can learn a lot from. But yeah, he was an early guy on Anthony Gold. So I knew that you would like that.
Does Chris dabble in college DFS at all?
I don't know if he plays it because he's in Canada, and I don't know if it's legal up there or not yet. But he could give you some pointers, though. I know that much. He might not be able to play it himself, but he could tell you who to play, though.
Chris, I'm officially one day back on Twitter. Find me on there and let's talk sometime.
All right. Well, since like I said, we
right?
probably got like a longer show because we're doing every single division from both conferences tonight. So if you like hearing a bunch of dudes sit around and talk bullshit about football, then you're in luck because we got a lot of bullshit to go through.
Pull up a bar stool and let's do this.
All right. So Drew was lucky enough, of course, to create this
brutal,
this wonderful Excel spreadsheet, which is extremely
super fancy.
Yeah, I mean,
was not thrown together 5 minutes before the show at all.
Yeah, definitely not. That's definitely not why we started late because we had to cram that. But it's even got graphics on it. I mean, come on. Like,
what more can you want, man? What more can you want?
So obviously, by the big A up there, you can tell we're going to start with the AFC first, and then we will transition into the NFC. And if you also can't read, the North is listed first. So we'll be starting with the AFC North, which should be a fun little division to kick things off with. So
yeah, it's a tough one.
I know I'm listed first, but I'm actually curious to hear you guys, or I'll go first because I actually want to hear you guys' thoughts on the AFC South before I absolutely catch my Twitter account and following on fire and burn it to the ground. So yeah.
No, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn last night.
Probably where you are right now, actually.
Something like that.
So let's go NFC or AFC North. AFC North. If you're not familiar with it, if you're a first-time viewer to any kind of football content that consists of if you're a first-time viewer of any football content, we're happy to have you. All the shows to start with. I don't know.
If you're a first-time viewer of NFL content, I'd like to apologize in advance.
Yeah, you really fucked up. So we've got the Baltimore Ravens, the Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals, and everybody's favorite Pittsburgh Steelers, who will somehow find a way to win, have a winning record.
They're going to find a way
every year. So let's kick things off. AFC North, this division, don't think it's quite as interesting as it has been in previous years.
Really?
Just for me.
I find it very interesting.
Just for me. I know a lot of people will, but I don't because, let's just start with the team that won it last year and who I think is probably got a good chance to repeat. That's the Baltimore Ravens. This is a team, they've added a few different guys here during the season. Obviously, some work along the offensive line. Added Derrick Henry, which is like the big free agent name, that they brought in, which him paired with Lamar should be a decent little duo down there. MVP winner last year, Lamar Jackson. And the defense just, I think, continues to grow, get a little bit better. If we go through, we pull up some of their draft picks here, and you guys talk about the Ravens while I'm doing this.
Yeah, I mean, the easy thing for me is just, getting excited about Lamar and a healthy Mark Andrews, hopefully a healthy Rashad Bateman. I will not give up. I will not quit. It sounds like they're going to be running two tight end sets and getting Isaiah Likely on the field more, which makes a ton of sense whenever you look at their receiver room and the lack of talent, and then you consider the fact that they have two really talented tight ends. It would make sense to get those guys on the field as much as possible. So that's only going to help the passing game and the running game if they could do that. And so I think it's just going to be I think the offense is going to be very centered around Lamar, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, and Isaiah Likely. I think that's, I'm not any breaking news here or anything, but I think it'll be good that it's a concentrated offense around those guys and getting Likely on the field more often. Mark Andrews fantasy owners might not like it, but it'll be good for the Ravens, though. I mean, the dude is extremely talented, and he shouldn't be playing a part-time bench role. He should be on the field more than he has been in years past. So I'm excited. I hope that those reports are true. Right now, they're just reports. We don't know if it's actually going to materialize into anything, but that has me really excited to see what this offense can do if that actually comes to fruition.
Yeah, I think Baltimore's the best team in this division. However, I don't see them winning the division on the grounds they have a first place schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, like that division is going to be extremely tight. I actually have if Burrow's healthy, I got Cincinnati winning that division.
And they have a fourth place schedule, right? Didn't they finish in last? So, and I think that's the same formula that they had the last time they went on a run too, if I'm not mistaken. I think they were coming into. I think they were on a fourth place schedule.
Yeah, because Burrow was hurt that rookie year.
Yeah. Yep. And a lot of times that can make the difference, man. Whenever you get to play the other teams that finish fourth place in their division, in tight divisions like this, just having the easier schedule really can be, the what splits the difference. So,
with that being said, though,
I mean,
the best team in that division. That schedule is gonna be tough. It is gonna be tough.
Yeah, but they're built to withstand it. Like, so they added, I was just looking here, they added, of course, Nate Wiggins, who showed out in his first preseason game. Looks like a stud already. Should be no surprise anytime Baltimore drafts a defensive player. They usually end up being pretty damn good.
Normally hit.
Yeah, pair with Kyle Hamilton there in that backfield, that secondary. Of course, they got a few guys as well. They got a super athletic guy in Adisa Isaac from Penn State, another pass rusher. That's just like a ball of clay, but his athletic upside is like insane. So if anybody's going to develop him, it's the Baltimore Ravens. So they could have a thing there. TJ Tampa, they took, late round corner as well. Thought he was a really good player. I thought he should have went earlier than what he did. So I thought, per usual, they had a really good defensive draft. That's generally how that works out for Baltimore. With Cincinnati, it's kind of weird though, because to me, Cincinnati is just kind of living on that Super Bowl run. Like that's their entire claim to fame over the last couple of years. It's the fact that they made that one run and they haven't really done anything since. Joe Burrow, once again, injured last year, out for the season, the rest of the year. But even whenever he was healthy,
he was hurt.
He was.
Even when he was playing, he was hurt.
Yeah, but even before that, I mean, he wasn't really playing his best.
You talk about the Super Bowl run, but they also took the Chiefs to the edge in that AFC Championship game the next year.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I was crazy. Yeah, in 2022 they made it to the conference championship and lost to Kansas City. It's
not a fluke. Joe Burrow is the legit. I mean,
I'm not saying
he's healthy. He's the top five quarterback when healthy.
But see, I don't even know if I'd go that far. Really, I don't know if I'd go top five. But because you got to think too, like everybody's been, and I know it's the whole like quarterback gets all the credit, quarterback gets none of the blame. That's usually how that stuff works. But that defense they had in both of those runs did a lot of heavy lifting for that team, like a lot of heavy lifting.
It did, but
so that defense has kind of seemed like they've lost a few guys, in free agency and stuff like that. So it's, without having that, I mean, that was a top five, almost top. They were the best defense in the entire playoffs, both those two runs. And unless they duplicate that offense has really got to pick it up. I think they've got the pieces to. Obviously there's still questions about the offensive line. They invested pretty heavily in that this year, but as we know, you never know how that turns out until you're actually on the field. But I just think if the defense takes any kind of step back, I think they'll be better than what they were last year. But I still schedule's the schedule, and like the whole first place schedule stuff. Like it sounds good on paper, but the NFL is too ever changing for us to know what's a fourth place schedule this year, what's a first place schedule, because these teams go. How many teams have we see every year in the division finish last in the division, and the next year they win the division?
Because they had an easier schedule that year.
But that's what you're saying.
That's the point I'm making.
But what I'm saying is there were so many injuries last year as well to these quarterbacks.
Well,
Joe
and
Burrow
that's
being one of
usually
them.
injuries is usually what leads fourth place teams to being first place teams the next year. It's just a team that was a talented team that was injured, and then they get healthy, and then they make a run. Partially because they're healthy, and partially because their schedule's easier because they they struggled the season prior because they were injured.
I just think like with the whole
So I think it
schedule
plays
thing,
a big
I just think there's too many variables of teams that
There is a
that
lot of turnover year to year in the NFL.
yeah. So
The other
I
part
agree
of
with
it,
you from that
the
part, but
other-
I think we can also kind of, even with the turnover, you can still kind of forecast. You're not gonna, nobody's going to be 100% accurate. We're about to prove that tonight, but
right.
you can somewhat forecast who's going to be the good teams and who's going to be the bad teams. And
Well, this is also a division that constantly, year over year, another team wins this division. It's not a very
except for the Browns, right?
Except for the Browns. It's not the AFC West. It's not the Kansas City Chiefs and everyone else. Like this division it's up for any. I mean, anybody can take this division. I just feel like when healthy,
I think they have a chance, but that's where I kind of disagree because I think Baltimore, like even with the whole like first place schedule thing, I just think the talent level on that team, like on offense and defense now, is at a point, and like with Lamar, obviously being the player that he is, because we can all say like Joe Burrow's one of the best quarterbacks in football. I get that.
So is
Lamar Jackson's Lamar Jackson's a 2-time MVP winner, and I think he has a better team around him. I think he has a better coaching staff around him.
I made that point already. Baltimore is the best team in the division, but
I just think they're kind of the talent level of that team is just. I think they're in their own tier in this division, and I think you've probably got Cincinnati, Cleveland fighting for that second level, and then Pittsburgh's probably at the bottom right now. And really, Cleveland is all dependent. I like their entire roster itself is really good, but their quarterback situation has been horrendous. And if they don't get that figured out, they're just kind of dead in the water. But if for some reason, Deshaun Watson can play like Deshaun Watson, then, like the Houston Texans version, whenever he was getting rub downs all the time, if he can return to that form, then I think Cleveland's also a better team than Cincinnati is.
I think on paper, Cleveland is a better team than Cincinnati. But
I don't know.
I trust Joe Burrow a lot more than I do Deshaun Watson.
Oh yeah, easily. That's why I wouldn't pick Cleveland over them. So for me, like I have the Ravens.
It sounds like I can kind of write out your thing based on. So it's Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, or Cleveland, Pittsburgh.
Yep, that's okay. How I would label it. Because I think Pittsburgh's kind of also in the same place where they're just in quarterback hell. They you don't ever know. Like, is Russell Wilson still good? It doesn't seem like he is. Is Justin Fields going to magically turn into what we all thought he was with Arthur Smith? Probably not. If that preseason game is any kind of indication, definitely not. Because Arthur Smith's got dudes running whip routes into the same area of the field. Like, he's got receivers stacked on top of each other. But yeah, I just think Baltimore. This is one of like the weird divisions. That's why I was saying I don't think it's as competitive because I think Baltimore is just like clearly head and shoulders above everybody else right now in that division.
I think Cincinnati's still close. I think Baltimore and Cincinnati are the clear top two teams for me, and then it's Cleveland and Pittsburgh. I think Cincinnati's closer to Baltimore than Cleveland is to Cincinnati personally.
I just need to see more. I need to see more. I know it sounds so weird. Like I'm going to sound like a huge hater. I just need to see more out of Joe Burrow on the fact of like staying on the field and being efficient. And I think if he can do those things, they definitely have a shot.
I mean, he's the only quarterback in the AFC to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. I mean, they won, right?
Yeah, what was the score though of that? Because like Joe Burrow went. I didn't know they went 1-on-1.
Oh, come on. We're not doing this. I mean, realistically, man.
How many points did Joe Burrow hold the Chiefs offense to in the second half?
0.
Oh, terrific work, Joe. Fantastic job.
If Winston's quarterback for Cleveland, realistically, it probably doesn't change much. But in my heart, Cleveland wins the division if Winston's at quarterback, just because
if they throw Jameis in there, like
I've got so much love for Jameis.
Yeah, it's up,
but
bro.
It probably makes no difference, but at least they would be much more fun to root for if Winston was at quarterback.
Be better for fantasy.
It would be better for fantasy too, because that man will fucking chuck it. I miss Jameis. I miss him so much. I can never.
His interviews are still gold. Anytime there's a Jameis Winston interview,
did you see the hype, the pregame, the huddle hype?
I watched it.
He's so good.
That's
man.
a dude that I hope whenever he retires, they should instantly give him a microphone.
Absolutely. He deserves his own. There shouldn't even be a color commentator with him, right? Or he would be the color commentator. There shouldn't even be a play-by-play guy. It should just be Jameis, just doing the whole fucking thing by himself. So Jared, I got the hint that it was going to be Cincy and Baltimore as your top two, but how does the rest of the division shake out for you though?
Cleveland, Pittsburgh.
Okay. All right. So you guys aren't too far off. And
1 and 2.
Mine's not much different. I've got Baltimore winning. I've already said that I've got Cincy not far behind them, and then I've got Pittsburgh finishing in the 3 spot, and I've got Cleveland bringing up the rear. I don't have any faith.
This could be a division though that I see I can see 2 or 3
teams.
Yeah, 2 or 3 teams making the playoffs in this division.
Yeah,
I see 2 at least making it.
At least 2. Yeah. I think Cincinnati. I don't have them winning the division, but if they are healthy, I think Burrow is good enough that I think they at least sneak in the wild card.
Yep. I agree. I mean, I've got Cincy coming in second in the division, but they'll probably, spoiler alert for the next show, they'll probably end up being one of the wild card teams.
Yeah.
All right, so it's time for the AFC South, Landon. I know you're excited for this one, Jared. We got 2 Colts fans on the show, so that means we're writing in the Colts as the AFC South champ, right?
Yes.
No.
We got 1 yes and 1 no.
Well, and I got reasons why, and it's not fandom.
What's funny is me and Jared actually had this conversation.
I think, and to be fair to both of you, I think you both do well putting your bias to the side whenever it comes time to talk about the Colts and stuff like this.
No, I haven't.
I give you guys both shit, but I really do think that you guys do good with that though. But so we got 1 yes and 1 no. So if Indy's not winning the division, is it Houston? I mean, is it Stroud?
Clearly.
Yeah, right. Clearly. That's who I've got too. So I mean, I'm with you. I agree. And then I think that Jacksonville is close with Indy too.
I think if Levis hits, I think Tennessee's close too.
Well, see, this is the one thing I am comfortable with right here. Is
I agree. I agree. As of right now, for sure, I agree. You can pencil that in.
Yeah.
And that's not even me being
across the board.
I do agree. I think there's a clear.
I think Culture Shock nailed it. I think this is how it shakes out right here. But I think that battle for the 2 spot in the division is going to be real all season.
That's where I think that's the clear battle. To me, there's no battle for 1. But I think
I disagree.
I know you disagree. Like I said, we've had this conversation.
That division is so up for grabs, man.
Jared's the only one that has the Colts at the top of the division. So, Jared, take the floor, man. Let us know why.
Anthony Richardson will make a difference in wreck games. The Colts are going to score a ton of points no matter who they play. They can keep up with any team in that division as far as points. I think Houston would be the second best offense in that division. I think Jacksonville, 3rd, Tennessee, 4th. I think all those teams can score points. I think the Colts ultimately score enough points, and they give up a lot of points, but they make turnovers that turn into points. The division literally came down to the last week of the season last year where Jacksonville, all they had to do was beat Tennessee, and that we wouldn't even be talking about Houston in the playoffs last year. And we have them running away with this division. That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, this ain't last year, bro. This ain't last year's team.
Yeah.
They added Stephon Diggs. They added Danielle Hunter. They got
I get
multiple people coming. Tank Dell will be back from injury. He missed basically all last year, and he already looks like a freaking stud. like this isn't the Houston Texans of last year, bro. This team.
And this isn't Indianapolis Colts.
This team is locked and loaded. This team isn't built to compete in the AFC South. This team is built to compete with Kansas City in the playoffs.
They're not nowhere near that, in my opinion, yet. But the Colts didn't have.
No, I'm saying that's how they're built. They're not built to worry about the AFC South. They went after dudes to go after.
Ultimately, this is my argument for the Colts. Take players aside, take everything away. Shane Steichen is the difference, and will make the Colts a better team to get them over the hump to win that division. It's an offensive-minded coach.
Steichen is a great
doesn't have that. They have weapons. I think Stephon Diggs is not washed, but he's not Stephon Diggs anymore. There's arguments they went out in free agency and got a bunch of these guys, but at the same time, this division literally came down to the last week of the season last year. And if Richardson was playing, there's a chance the Colts would have won that division. I mean, Gardner Minshew, one play. They were one play away from making the playoffs.
I hate that argument because it's not true. It's false. They are not one play away. They were on the 20-yard line. If they convert that fourth down, they still have to go 20 yards to score a touchdown. It's not an automatic touchdown to convert a fourth down call. They weren't on 4th and 1 at the 1-yard line, where if they convert that fourth down, they score. That's not a thing.
Do you think the Colts went backwards with this roster they put in place for this season?
No, honestly, I think it's the same. I think it's the same.
So
because it literally is the same.
Anthony Richardson, Drew, you watched that Rams game last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one was fun.
Really fast. I mean, it's not like I understand there's two sides of the ball, but they're going to put up points. They put up points with Minshew. They are going to put up points with Anthony Richardson. A lot.
Oh, I agree. I had whenever we did the AFC South fantasy football preview on 4th and Frames, I was the one that drew the hot take prediction for the Colts, and my prediction was that they were going to be a top 5 offense in points per game this year. I think the offense is going to be awesome. I don't know what to make of your defense. I think the pass rush should be good, but the secondary, as someone that is not as familiar with the Colts, the secondary kind of worries me. And I think the Texans and the Colts' offenses are going to be comparable, but I think they have the edge on defense, both in personnel and in coaching. And I think that's ultimately going to be the difference, in my opinion.
I would agree with that.
I think both offenses are going to be explosive. That I'm not worried about for either side.
I'm not worried about. So, but here's the thing: is the secondary is. I mean, you have 2 playable players right now in that entire secondary. 2 guys. What type of a league is it? It's a passing league. They finished 28th and 27th in points the last 2 years combined. And this is with last year. They had, they were damn near top of the league in sacks and top of the league in pressures. They already had a top 5 defensive line last year. I mean, how much further can you go from top 5 to top, 3, 2, 1? I mean, unless this defensive line is just absolutely out of its mind, like this, and they have the chance to be. They very well could, because I think Latu is a stud, Forrest Buckner, Cody Pager, they have the horses on the defensive line, and I think the linebacking room is really good. But this secondary, man, unless they do something, if you're out there starting, if Juju Brents goes down and you're out there and you have to start Chris Lamons or Darrell Baker Jr. or heaven forbid from what we saw last week, even in the preseason game, you got to start Dallas Flowers. I mean, it's just not enough. It's not enough to keep up with the points in this league. And Jacksonville, you make a very good point as well, by saying if Trevor Lawrence was not hurt, Jacksonville would have been the division winner for 2 years in a row. So, I mean, everybody's just kind of making this like a 2-horse race and leaving out the Jaguars. The Jaguars went out and got better as well this year.
That's what I'm saying. These divisions.
So,
I mean, people have Texans penciled in I don't see it that
I-
being that easy.
I think people are also very. I think people are. I'm not going to say low on CJ Stroud because he's like
no, they're extremely high on CJ Stroud.
I don't think they're high enough on CJ Stroud.
Oh,
I think CJ Stroud has a legitimate chance to be the MVP this year.
He should definitely be in the running.
I think he is that good, and
I think he's good. Yeah.
And I'll say something else that this is gonna get a lot of pushback, and like people are gonna fucking hate me saying this, but you know what, whatever. The way he played last year and some of the throws that I've seen him make, even just in the preseason, that Tank Dell throw, that's Peyton Manning. That is Peyton Manning in the pocket. It is. Like I watched it for 13 years. I know what it looks like. Watching the way he throws the ball with anticipation and the accuracy, the way he's able just to be surgical with it. And now you give I don't care if it's, like B level Stephon Diggs. It doesn't matter. You give that guy that many weapons and like people also forget they didn't really have their starting offensive line out for most of last season either. And their offensive line, when healthy, I think it's one of the best in football. And if they stay fully healthy on their offensive line is going to get better. It's already elite. I think it's top 5 level if they are all on the field.
If Burrow plays every snap, he definitely is shooting for comeback player of the year, I would imagine.
Then you add in the elite weapons. You add in the elite quarterback. You add in the elite defensive line, who added Danielle Hunter to go along with Will Anderson Jr. You add in the linebacking core, which I think is probably the only question mark on the team. And even then, I don't think it's bad. And I think their secondary is borderline elite as well. Jalen Petrie is one of the best safeties in football. Derek Stingley looked like the guy that they drafted.
He had a great camp from everything that's been reported.
Well, he was a stud towards the end of last year as well. Like, they are loaded down on every position. And D'Amico Ryans, hell of a head coach. Bobby Slowick coming back as offensive coordinator for that team and not going to any head coaching jobs. Like, I know everybody's like, well, they got a defensive head coach. Bro,
they're a good offensive mind too.
Yeah, their offensive coordinator is one of the best coordinators in football. And if CJ Stroud takes another step from what he was last year, and I know he had kind of a rough stretch in the middle, but towards the end there, it seemed like everything kind of slowed down. And just some of the stuff that he can do with the way he throws the football, man, it's unreal. Like, there might not be another quarterback in the league that can throw the ball like that guy can. And this team, to me, like I said, I don't think it's a question. They're not built for the AFC South. They are built for Kansas City in January. That's what they're going for. And
the NFL's transition.
That's where I have them.
And I mean, if you look at coming off Lamar Jackson's prime example, coming off MVP season, I'm not ready to compare, Anthony Richardson, who's played 3 games and got hurt in every one of them, to Lamar Jackson. But he's a difference maker.
He absolutely is. But
he can blow a game up and we've seen spurts of it. I mean, that's the thing where I think them being a dome team, which Houston's a dome team as well, like, they're going to be tough to beat. Like, it's going to be like your Peyton Manning Colts where they score 40 points and you have to score 41 to beat them. Like, it's going to get to that point. That they're built to score.
Yeah, but in today's NFL, it's a lot easier to score 40 points than it was back then. And I just think, and like I talked with Marcus down there who Culture Shock. I was telling him the pressure that they have put on Anthony Richardson to be that kind of a difference maker. I'm not a fan of it. I don't love having.
It looks very similar to what Carolina did to Cam Newton.
Yeah, I mean, unless Richardson comes out and has that type of a season, like an MVP level season, where he's basically just hoisting up the entire franchise on his back, where they're scoring 30 plus points every single week. Dude, that is so hard. That is so difficult.
The trippy thing is, though, they were doing that last year
without him. Hasn't. And as much as I love him, and you guys know how much I love Anthony Richardson, he hasn't played. You don't know. Like you've seen flashes, but flashes are just that, flashes. Yeah. You need consistency. You need week to week baseline level production. Anthony Richardson cannot afford to go out in week 3 or week 6 or whatever and throw 10 for 25 for 130 yards and an interception and expect that Colts team to win ball games. It just can't. And whenever you have a player that's that raw, as great as he may end up being, you are going to have peaks where you're going to have the Rams game where he just looks unstoppable. But you're going to have valleys too. And this team is not built to withstand those valleys. They can't afford those valleys. Yeah. And that's my biggest problem with the Colts roster right now. The Texans, I think, are more able to withstand because a bad game for CJ Stroud, where that guy's locked and loaded, pocket quarterback, he's going to surgically, a bad game for CJ Stroud's probably 225 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. That's bad.
Or 2.
Yeah, or 2. The Texans they're built to withstand that. They're okay with that because they're so solid at so many other places. The Colts, I think, are the opposite. They can't afford a bad Anthony Richardson game.
I think Kyle's spot on, and I mean it's. I say that because the exact same order I have him in Landon. It's the same order you ended up with as well. But Texans, Colts, Jags, Titans. I mean, we both got the Jags and the Titans at what? Wait, what?
So here's the other thing. I don't think you have my order correct.
I didn't get it right.
You didn't. I've got Jacksonville second. I've got the Colts finishing third.
Oh, okay.
They beat you down, bro.
It's not that they've beat me down. It's just that's what I'm saying. It's just there's too many variables with this team to where everything has to go perfectly right for them to win.
And Jacksonville's
and
not the same way.
I think Jacksonville
defense. I think Jacksonville's defense is just as scary.
I think their secondary is better. Their defensive line's not as good, but I think they have they've got great pass rushers.
I think I've seen Trevor Lawrence enough at this point. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a game changer.
He's a difference maker. And like I said, if he was not hurt that later part of the year, they're winning that division pretty easily. They had to go 0-5 to basically lose it. Yeah, because he was hurt. I mean,
so the only team that had a healthy quarterback was Houston last year, right?
Well, Tennessee with Levis.
He didn't even start the season.
And I think he even might have been. I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, I think it's going to be a close division. I think it's fair, really, outside of having Tennessee super high up. I think that would be kind of crazy. But
yeah, I think you could flip the Colts and Jaguars anyway, and I don't really have.
Yeah, I don't think that's blasphemous or anything.
But I think that's where the race is.
But I don't think it's crazy.
That's where the race is to me. It is for the 2 and 3 spot.
All right.
AFC East.
AFC East, because I know we'll go all night on the AFC South if we can, but
I don't want to.
Does anybody believe in the Jets resurgence? Is Aaron Rodgers coming back from the Achilles injury? And I mean, they've got a solid defense. Is he going to take them back to start them? Is it just going to be the Bills all over again? Wash, rinse, repeat. I mean, they lost. I guess it depends on how you feel about Stephon Diggs right now, but there's no more Diggs. They added Keon Coleman, year 2 of Dalton Kincaid. They added Ray Davis. I had to throw him in there, go Cats. But or is it Tua and the Dolphins, like Kyle says, that ends up taking the division?
Kyle Coffey is exactly my lineup.
That's it right there. Dolphins, Bills, Jets, Pats. I'm very comfortable with saying that I think the Pats are the fourth best team.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
Outside of that, I really struggle with the other three teams, though. I
Yeah,
really
I do too, because they're all like, the whole thing with the Jets is like, so I was telling Jared the other day, that team won 7 games with Zach Wilson. And I think they've only gotten better. And do you think Aaron Rodgers is only worth a win or two more than Zach Wilson was? I think it might be the biggest upgrade at quarterback in the entire National Football League, is having Aaron Rodgers over Zach Wilson. And that team, that roster is loaded. Like loaded. They might be the most complete roster from top to bottom, maybe in the entire NFL, which is weird to say about.
I don't love their pass catchers outside of Garrett Wilson, but outside of that, I agree. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what Malachi Corley becomes.
I'm a big, WKU.
Yeah, I like Malachi Corley. I like his game. I just don't know what it like. I don't really know if I trust the Jets to use Malachi Corley in the correct way in the first place.
But Aaron Rodgers has shown, though, obviously Devontae Adams and all that, and he's got a guy like that in Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson.
He doesn't need much more. Like, as long as you got that one guy.
And he's got he's got Breece Hall too, and
yeah,
Breece Hall is the wide receiver too on the team. Like, he's probably going to be second in the team in targets and receptions because of how great of a pass catcher he is and how much they lack pass catching weapons out, because they added Mike Williams, but
he's
going to go up. He's going to go up and high point a ball in week 2 and break his back or some crazy shit because the guy just loves to slam into the ground. My concern isn't with Rodgers or with Corley. It's just that Malachi Corley, I think, has a specific skill set. He's got a specific set of skills, and I don't know if I trust I don't know if I trust
Alan Lazard too. All right.
He's going to block his ass off. We know that. We know if he's going to block his ass off. But I just don't know if I trust the Jets to maximize Malachi Corley. And I don't really care about him being a rookie and Rodgers and things like that. I know that there's that weird narrative go around that Rodgers hates rookies. I just think he hates rookies that can't play. And I don't think that's the case with Corley. But yeah, I don't know what to make of the pass catcher. I don't know what to make of the offensive weapons in general outside of Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. But those are still two really awesome
don't sleep on. I know Breece Hall is getting all the love, which rightfully so, he should.
Braylon Allen's awesome.
Don't sleep on Braylon Allen.
Yeah, he's just. I'm pissed at the Jets for taking Braylon Allen because I wanted him to go somewhere.
He needed to have a feature role.
Yeah, I wanted to see him immediately hit the field.
But that's a two-headed monster. And then Olu Fashanu, the guy they drafted.
Yeah, and they needed help on the offensive line.
You know what offense I'm not worried about is the Miami Dolphins, because they are loaded.
Until it gets to week 16, week 17, and you're asking Tua to go play in the cold.
Aaron Rodgers won't be playing in week 16, and I don't want to be the guy that predicts injuries.
Why do you think that?
He's 40+ years old.
These
are unrealistic. Tom Brady is the only person that beat Father Time, and even
Phillip Rivers at his 40-year-old. Phillip Rivers played a hell of a year
in a dome.
Crazy.
Kyle said, "Look, boys, I ain't gonna make it to the AFC West portion probably, but the Chiefs, I
think we're all clear about that.
You ain't missing much.
Might be the worst
you ain't missing much, Kyle. Yeah, you ain't missing much because once we get to that division, it's gonna be very.
It's gonna be quick. Yeah.
There's not gonna be much of a breakdown with that one.
I don't trust the Jets. I don't trust Robert Saleh. I'm sorry, I just don't. I think Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer, but he's also 40+ years old. And that offense is Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, and that's it. That's why I just don't see them winning that division.
Yeah. The West is the Chiefs, and then just a dumpster fire.
Look out, Jeremy Rucker too, tight end. I think you gotta watch out for him.
He's not even. He can't even get past Tyler Conklin on the depth.
I was just Conklin.
He will.
Tight end 1.
I don't know. So Landon, do the Jets win the division?
Yeah, I think they do. I think they're the best team in that division. And I'm not betting against. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, you could say like, oh, he's 40, 41 or whatever. Like, whatever. He's had one injury-riddled season his whole career, and that was last year. Every other year, he's been just fine. He's not injury-prone. There's no reason to think that he won't make it an entire 17-game season. The only thing that he has working against him is the fact that it's the New York Jets, and that franchise it's the New York Jets.
That means something.
I mean, it might, but you never know. I mean, people said the same thing about the Chiefs. People said the same. I mean, think of all those years with the Chiefs. Every year.
I mean, the reality is too, with like, to go to your point earlier, Landon, about the turnover in the NFL. I forget what the stat is, but on average, so this is a worst to first one, but just even separate from that, on average, there are 6 new teams that make the playoffs that didn't make the playoffs the year prior. And that's like a consistent, like almost every year thing. There's 5 or 6 teams that didn't make the playoffs the previous year that make the playoffs the next year. So it's not, this type of shit ain't unheard of, man. And the Jets do they have the best defense in football?
If it's not the best, it's top 3.
They're like top 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good defense. Really good defense.
They've got a great defense, really good offensive line, one of the best wide receivers in football, an absolute loaded backfield to where, I mean, even if Rodgers has an off game, they can hand the ball off. They'll be just fine. And the fact that defense is so good, if you tell me Aaron Rodgers on average only has to score 24 points a game on offense to win a football game, I'm going to take my bet.
That's where I'm at with this too. Is like Rodgers, even if Rodgers isn't his MVP,
this team won 7 games with Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
Zach Wilson, bro. Literally the worst. He was rated worse than 32nd. He was like 35th.
Oh, yeah, because Joe Flacco only played like 5 games, and he
Gardner Minshew. Like Gardner Minshew. You're telling me that Aaron Rodgers is not worth at least 2 to 3 more wins per year than Zach Wilson?
I don't know.
I have a hard time buying that.
Just can't get them in the playoffs.
And like not only that, but I think the whole division. I think really outside Miami, I think the divisions take Buffalo's. I think Buffalo's taken a big step back. I think they're almost in a very similar situation to me as what the Colts are, where they're putting almost every little bit on Josh Allen's shoulders. And if Josh Allen is not superhuman every week, that team's going to have a hard time winning games.
Is Josh Allen a top 5 quarterback?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
That's the main difference between them and the Colts is we've seen Josh Allen do it year in and year out.
Yeah, we also seen a guy win a Super Bowl with a mediocre wide receiving core last year.
Yeah, with a top 1 defense, top 2 defense.
I think Buffalo's defense is solid. I don't think they're terrible.
They've taken a big step back. They had a lot. They went all in over the last 2 or 3 years. They had a lot of aging veterans like Von Miller and some of those other guys that Kansas City stole their window. That was their window. And I think now, I don't think they're in a complete rebuild because I think they're talented enough, but I think it's enough of a rebuild to where they're probably going to have a year or 2 where they're kind of taking a little bit of a step back before they're able to build back up to make that final run with Josh Allen.
So am I hearing a Buffalo Bills 3rd place finish from you?
You are.
Okay.
And then I've got Miami. I think Miami's one of the other wild card teams, and I think they make the playoffs.
Okay. Interesting. This was the toughest division for me to.
This was a tough division.
This was at least as far as the AFC goes. The NFC has
one too. And I'm not saying Buffalo is going to what I mean by that, I don't think they're bottoming out to where they're winning. They're finishing 3rd place, but they're winning 6 games. I don't think that's the case. I just think there's a very good shot the Jets and the Dolphins both hit double-digit wins. And if Buffalo's not going to hit that 10-win mark, I think they're finishing 3rd in that division. That's the mark for them, is 10 wins. If they can get the 10 wins, they'll have a shot.
So, Landon, You're not alone, man. You're not
Let's
on an island with this one. You're
let's
not
go.
on an island with
This
this one.
team is too good.
I am fully.
Gentlemen, I'm 40. I can tell you it hurts all over. So I really hope Aaron Rodgers goes out there and plays like he's 38 or something.
That's because you don't do darkness retreats and ashwagandha, bro.
That's
If
very
you would
true.
just add that into your routine, you'd be okay.
I don't. I should probably incorporate that.
Yeah, I think that the team around
He has
Rodgers
zero
is so
stress in
good
his
that-
life. He doesn't even talk to his family. Like he's got no stress.
That's true. Yeah, I just think the team around him's too good, and if they can win as many games as they did with Wilson, even if Rodgers isn't his normal self, it's just that defense is going to do its thing, and Rodgers in the run game. Breece Hall is
Especially if they end up
incredible.
sorting through this Hassan Reddick stuff and Hassan Reddick plays, and you add him to that defensive line. Sheesh. What a loaded roster.
Okay.
All right, so this one's easy. Yeah.
Just go ahead and do this here.
Yeah, so this one's
Who's in the division? I'm just playing.
this is the new this division's the new AFC North or AFC East from the 2000s.
Pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I don't think it really matters because none of the other teams are going to make the playoffs. But how does the rest of the division shake out?
The Raiders are very clearly fourth. They might be the worst team in football this year.
The Raiders?
You think they're worse than the Broncos for real?
Yes.
Oh,
the
Raiders defense came long last year. Towards the
Yeah,
they had a
but
good stretch.
dude,
Yeah, I'm with Kyle was
they're
like,
awful.
read my mind. That's literally the same. I actually
They're-
flipped the Broncos and Chargers, but
their offense.
I got the Raiders in second.
Yeah, this is like picking the best of the worst. Like I think all three of these teams are going to be bad.
Yeah, I mean,
Raiders,
we're
Chargers.
choosing
But I'll
between
say
shoe and
this,
straws here.
But I'll say this: when you look at the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Broncos, only one of them have a good quarterback. And I'm going to take.
And that is precisely why I
Yep.
have the Chargers right here. It's
I would
because
agree.
they have Justin Herbert.
And they have a great offensive line. Their offensive line
Yeah.
is crazy.
They have
Justin Herbert,
weapons.
and the other teams don't.
They have zero
think-
weapons.
It won't matter.
Yeah, I think that Justin Herbert's
they're
one
not
of
making
those
the
guys
playoffs
that
anyway.
he makes the weapons around him
Yeah.
better. So I like it. Whenever push comes to shove, I think if Gardner Minshew ends up being the guy, I think he's going to be exposed big time this year because he doesn't have Shane Steichen, pulling the strings anymore.
Yeah. Man.
I think it should be Aiden. I think they should just let Aiden O'Connell play for better or worse, and then just go get that top draft pick next year. And I just
So I actually have Denver because
I just don't like Sean Payton. So
yeah, I mean I don't like it, but I think even having as much as I'm not like a huge fan, I even think having Bo Nix there is an upgrade because what Bo Nix is built to do is exactly what Sean Payton's offense is built to do, which is very accurate timing, rhythm, passing, and that's exactly what Bo Nix does. I think he can run that offense relatively cleanly, even as a rookie. I don't think they're completely barren as well. I think Cortland Sutton's still good. They've got some decent pieces there.
it's a fair point, Kyle. But Eckler and Mike Williams weren't really present last year either. But Keenan Allen
was
is
Herbert.
But look, like we're arguing over semantics here because none of these three
They all
teams-
suck. Yeah, they're just gonna be fighting to see who can get a higher pick in the draft. Is
Exactly.
all these three teams are doing. The Chiefs won the division whenever it was a tough division, a competitive division. They're gonna win it, and it's
they're going to sweep.
You're a more boring
It's-
team than the Chargers this year.
dude, I honestly, the Broncos are a team that I have no interest in this year.
Yeah. No, the only team out of those three that I would actually want to watch play football would probably be the Chargers.
Oh God, no. I watch college football on Saturdays. That team is gonna. It's literally gonna be running and blocking, and that's it. That's to me like
I
it's
don't
gonna
mind
be like
that.
watching
I won't
That
mind
doesn't bother me. I
watching.
love great offensive line play.
I'm kind of interested
like-
to see what Harbaugh and Greg Roman can do with
Yeah,
how the offense is constructed.
Yeah, and that's
The
another
defense
thing
is
is
gonna
like
be bad though, but all
that's
these
another thing is like, can you name
outside of the Broncos having Pat Surtain, but
can you name one time that Jim Harbaugh hasn't been successful as a head coach?
that's kind of that's
2024
really
NFL season coming up.
that's all that played into it.
Be the first time ever.
Me picking the Chargers second was literally just Harbaugh
Jim
and Herbert.
Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, and a great offensive line.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's better. That's better than anything else any other team has to offer.
Exactly, which is what none of the other ones have.
That's it.
that's brutal.
It's a disgusting division. We've spent 10 seconds was too long of a time on it. So yeah, Chiefs sleepwalk for that. So there's the AFC in all its glory.
Now we get to the
now
fun.
let's do the same damn thing over here. We're an hour in. We haven't even talked NFC yet. So strap in.
NFC North. Here we go.
Oh, that division is gonna be fun.
This one is going to be fun.
Yeah. All right. Should you just go ahead and pencil mine in? Like, you know where I'm going.
Yeah, the Packers win the division for you, right?
Yeah.
What a great division.
Over the Lions, huh?
I've got the Lions, Drew.
Yep, I do too.
That's right, baby. Let's go, Pat.
You should join a Packers podcast, Landon.
I probably know the team better than some of the Packers fans do. I'm just being dead serious. I love watching Green Bay.
That's how I've got it.
Copy and paste. Drew, copy and paste. That's the same as mine.
Okay, easy enough. And I'll say this. I said this on the draft podcast. I'm gonna say it again. By the end of this season, Caleb Williams will be viewed as the best quarterback in this division. By the end of his rookie year.
Also, yeah, I mean it's hard to argue. I mean, but I love Jordan Love, bro. Like
Jordan Love's really good too. This division is awesome.
Good. So here and see, that's where I'm actually going. So mine's different. I've got Chicago finishing second. I have Detroit finishing.
Nice. I like it. I wanted to put them there. I just didn't. I didn't have enough faith. The defense did make some strides at the end of the year.
Yeah, they're much better, and I just think with Caleb Williams and that offense, and you saw little glimpses of it this first preseason game. You saw glimpses, bro.
That throw on that rollout.
I wanted to call Komet.
Absolutely disgusting.
Gross.
Dude, the dude is an animal, man. Hey,
I know y'all talk shit too. How about freaking and I know he's hurt. Yeah, I get it. How about old JJ from Minnesota? That's a hell of a game. Hell of a game.
Hey, I mean there was ups and downs, good and bad, but I mean it was a
well, no, there was one bad. There was like once he threw that interception, it was over. Like game on. Like that dude just shredded.
Hey, in all fairness, like nobody's talked about the Vikings.
Good.
I think Sam Darnold has a decent year. I think
don't.
I think he has a decent year. I don't think like anything like crazy, but I don't think he loses a job.
Yeah, like describe. I think there's stuff. I think.
Does he earn another contract with another team to start next year? Does somebody else pay Darnold to start next year?
To start, no.
That's what I would consider a successful year. Is him pulling like a Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, like having
that's what I would consider a successful year. If at the end of the year you're still a backup, who gives a shit? You know what I mean?
Well, I think they're going to be one of those teams that they're obviously going to finish fourth in this division. I think all three.
The defense is so bad.
It's so bad.
So bad.
Great.
Offensive line is great.
You know what they're going to do because they're going to lose enough games. I think once the bye week rolls around, I think they start JJ the rest of the season to see what they have.
Well, what's up with the knee surgery? Is there a timeline on when he's going to come back yet?
Not yet because they have to get in.
I don't think he was going to start prior to the bye. Anyway,
no.
Darnold's going out week one for sure.
I think
that was always the plan.
Yeah,
I think so. I'm pretty sure that's the direction they were going.
But I don't think Darnold finishes the season as a starter.
I don't know. I think he does.
I don't think he does either. I think JJ sees the field at some point.
Detroit,
Maybe it's a little bit later than planned now because of the knee injury. I don't know. I haven't seen a timeline on it, so I really don't know what it looks like. But
picking Detroit third, though, man. I think all three of
this division is brutal.
all three of them.
I wanted to pick the Bears second. I just couldn't for me, it was between the Packers and the Bears, and I just I'm still not completely bought into Jordan Love, to be honest with you, but I saw enough that I think that the team as a whole is so good.
They had the way that he played. They should have beat San Francisco.
That's what kind of did it for me is the way
he
played in the
second half of that season last year. He was top 5 quarterback.
His touchdown rate though was just like so unsustainable.
At one point, it was identical to Aaron Rodgers.
In the red zone, the way that they were throwing the ball in the red zone, I just
you
got. To me, it's not even necessarily like the stats or whatever. It's just like from what I was watching, some of the stuff that he was out there doing, man. Some of the throws that he was making, like the whole scrambling around and then just launching a freaking rocket to the back of the end zone between 3 dudes. That's what if Patrick Mahomes had done that, which he does frequently, that shit would be top 10 on Sports Center if they still talked about sports. Jordan Love was doing that shit almost every game. He was. I'm still
a little bit skeptical.
That's fair because you need to see it for more than 1 year.
But I like their pass. I like their pass catching core. Like I don't think they have a wide receiver 1, but they've got like 4 really good wide receiver 2s.
Man, I don't know. I
think they upgraded running back too. I think Josh Jacobs is a better back.
I'm also a lot higher. I'm a lot higher on Jaden Reed than what a lot of people probably are.
I'm interested to see how.
I know everybody's on the whole Dontavion Wicks thing right now, and I get that.
That's best ball season. That's
the issue is whenever unless things change, whenever the Packers are in 2 wide receiver sets, it's been Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson whenever Watson's healthy.
Yeah, but that's
so I like Jaden Reed the player.
That's who I'm Romeo Doubs.
I think Dobbs is their wide receiver 1, personally.
I think Dobbs is too.
Dobbs is he doesn't offer a ton after the catch, but he's got sure hands and he's a really good threat in the red zone too. Like Love relies on him once they get down there in the scoring area.
And then those tight ends too, man, going into their second year.
Yeah, Musgrave and Kraft both are talented guys. Dude, fucking what's his name? Bo Melton?
Yeah, from Wisconsin.
He's not even going to see the field, and that dude is so talented. Like, I wish that they would trade some of these guys. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They've got 4 or 5 really good wide receiver 2s.
A great problem to have.
But I think that could almost be a good thing because you don't have like a Devontae Adams or somebody that you have to force feed targets. Like Love can just have the freedom to just find the open guy. So I don't think it's a bad thing. Like I'm not saying that as a knock on them.
It's a great thing.
That's my favorite thing about the Packers' entire offense is the way they've built that receiver room and the tight end, like the whole pass catchers in general.
It's not great for fantasy, but it's It's a
nightmare for defensive coordinators to try to plan for because you can't focus on one guy. You take one guy away, then it's
1,000% great for the actual league. And so the whole that's kind of where fantasy's kind of inserted into real football now is the whole terms of wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. That shit doesn't exist in the league. They don't say
it does.
I mean,
there's a drop.
Whenever you have Devontae Adams on your team, you make.
But they don't refer to them as wide receiver 1.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
but he is wide receiver. He's the best wide receiver on the team. You're going to get him the ball. But the whole thing of this guy is wide receiver 3 on this team. It's.
No, that's not so much to me. That's not so much fantasy football talk as it is just depth chart talk.
Yeah, I mean,
which receiving core would you rather have, the Jets receiving core or the Packers receiving?
Oh, the Packers.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure Aaron Rodgers played with that same receiving core and missed the playoffs. Correct?
He did not. No,
not completely. They didn't have Jaden Reed or Wicks. I don't think. Whenever the last time Rodgers,
they had Dobbs. They had Watson.
They drafted Dobbs. They had Watson because
he was a rookie.
Could they? Wasn't Watson and Dobbs in the same draft class?
I think Dobbs was the year after.
They played with Aaron Rodgers. I know that.
I know Watson did for sure because he had some blow-up games with Rodgers, and I thought that him and Dobbs got drafted the same year, but I could be mistaken though.
Nope. Dobbs was unless was 20. Did Rodgers there 2022?
Yes, that was his last year there.
Last year there, so he was a rookie, so he barely played.
Yeah, and he was he a day 2 or a day 3 draft pick?
He was. That's a good question.
I don't remember if he was 3rd or 4th round. I think he was one of those two though.
I think Jordan Love.
Oh no, I remember like banging the table for him because
you were a big Dobbs guy coming out of college. I remember that too.
Loved him.
I think that's another reason why they click so well is because they're all roughly the same age.
Yes, they're an extremely young team. And so I had a hard time putting the Bears above them, but I think that the Bears are on their fucking way.
He was a 4th rounder.
Fourth rounder. Okay, yeah. So he was.
So when you talk about the Lions,
day three guy that's a rookie, like he's not going to make a big mark in his rookie year anyway. But
yeah. All those guys. The only one that really mattered out of any of those guys was Watson, and then everybody else just they either weren't there or they were a rookie. So Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing with this same core.
Yeah, he didn't get to.
Musgrave was a rookie.
I'm on the Dontavian Wicks hype train too. Like I believe in his
really
talent.
good, man.
I think he's a really talented player, but again, it's not going to matter if he's not seeing the field. You know, if he's only getting on the field whenever they're going 3-4 wide, it's not really going to matter how talented I think he is. But that's a good problem for the Packers to have, though. That play made the
The amazing thing, we're talking about all these teams, and the Lions were picked by both of us, and we've not even mentioned them yet. That's how good this division is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just going to be rinse, wash, repeat for the Lions. And they get to play in a fuck ton of domes this year, which is, you know, if you know Jared Goff, you know that if you got him in a dome, you're doing all right. So I think that's going to play to their favor.
Best tight end in football?
No.
I still think as far like taking fantasy out of it, I still think Kelsey and Kittle are ahead of him. But I mean, the dude was a rookie. And he's already in the discussion. So
and like Drew, like what Drew was saying too about like the touchdown rate being just like absurd.
Yeah, Laporta was another one of those guys.
Laporta's efficiency was like
targets, but
Laporta's efficiency was like historic levels for a tight end. Like and it's like I just don't see that being recreated. It's just so hard to maintain that level.
The only thing what Laporta does have going for him, though, is that was his rookie year, so it's not crazy to think that his target numbers go up in year 2, and then so he doesn't need the touchdown numbers, that he doesn't need the touchdown rate to have as good of a season.
And he's probably going to be the second target on the team.
He should be. I mean, it should be a knock on him.
Yeah,
and then which Gibbs is going to be right there too. Because Gibbs is already one of the best pass catching running backs in the league to me, and then Goff loves to dump it off to the running back. So, which Gibbs is also dealing with an injury. We'll see what comes of that. But yeah, to me there wasn't a lot to say about the Lions. I think it's just going to be another solid year. I still am of the belief that Goff is a guy that you can get to the playoffs with, but I don't think he's a guy you can win because of. I don't think they are going to get over that hump as long as Goff is the quarterback. But that's a debate for whenever we talk about the playoffs, at least for me and Jared. It sounds like Landon, the Lions might be on the outside looking in come playoff time for you, but you're going to have 3 playoff teams from the division? Oh, shit. Okay. Well, I can see that. Some of these other divisions I don't think are going to have a ton, so I could see that. All right, so NFC South. This has got a little bit of shakeup this year. So you got the Bucks that won it last year, and then you've got the Falcons, Saints, and the Panthers. So I'm just going to go ahead. Just give me 1 second here. I'll do that, and then
do that for me too.
I will.
Go ahead and add that for me as well.
I'll do this. All right, I'll get Carolina for both of you guys. I don't know if you're going to be on board with the division winner with me, but
I would agree with that as well.
It's kind of boring, but this is how I got.
I think there's 2 C's in Buccaneers.
There is 2 C's. Yeah, I misspelled that. I got to go back up there and do that. But I want to put New Orleans last just because I can't stand the Saints. And Chris and Rhett are both Saints fans, the 2 guys that I work with over at Fantasy and Frame. So just screw with them if they do end up watching this back. I wanted to put them last. But, I got to add this other C. That's how I got it breaking down. I think Atlanta with adding Kirk Cousins, with the upgrade in coaching that they did, I think that they're going to end up winning this division. And then I think Tampa won't be far behind. I still think that they're a solid team. I think that Baker's legit. I think the Saints are a dumpster fire, and that I don't think it's crazy if Carolina ends up improving enough to where they finish third instead of fourth in the division. Like I think the real battle is right here.
Yeah.
The Saints and the Panthers. Who's going to be who's the race to the worst? Because I do think that they made some, like, I think the coaching staff improvements Carolina made is huge. I like the draft that they had overall. I mean,
but them losing Brian Burns was so stupid.
Yeah, that was dumb. And they could have gotten 2 firsts for him whenever the Rams were trying to trade for him. Man, I'm so glad that shit. As much as I would like the Rams to have Brian Burns, I'm so glad they didn't trade 2 firsts for that. But yeah, I love them adding Deontay Johnson. Like the one thing they didn't have in that offense was a wide receiver that could actually separate. Like it was just nothing but tight windows that Bryce Young was throwing into. Nobody on that offense could separate.
And Xavier Legette too. I think Legette's there too, and
Xavier Legette is probably the easiest guy to root for.
Yeah, every time that dude talks, it's like the greatest thing ever.
And it's so funny seeing people saying, like, I can't understand a thing he's saying.
I know exactly what he's saying.
Speaking perfect English, man. Yeah, you guys are just from the wrong part of the country, I guess. But all right, so that's how I've got it shaken out. You guys both said right in Carolina for 4 for you guys, right?
I got the same as you, actually.
Yeah, I have the exact same as well.
Okay, copy paste literally. All right, let me just do that then. Easy enough. Okay, so this is kind of a boring division, but it is what it is, you know? I mean, sometimes you don't have to make things harder than what they are. Yeah, I don't know. I think the difference in adding Kirk Cousins and getting Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson, improving in coaching staff, I think that's all they needed to take themselves over the top. I like the personnel. The defense is still kind of iffy, but they got some interesting pieces, though. But I think
they drafted a quarterback in their future, too.
That part I still don't get, but hey, if you have that kind of belief in him, go get your guy. But I just don't know why you paid Kirk Cousins the money you did.
Atlanta, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't get the Michael Penix thing, but
well, I'm glad they did because apparently they were in on Latu. So,
any other final thoughts on the NFC South, or is this one pretty cut and dry?
Mike Evans, 1,000-yard season, guarantee.
Yep, he's going to flirt with double-digit touchdowns, and he's going to have 1,000 yards. You can just go ahead and take that shit.
He'll do all of that within 9 games.
Yeah, all 10 games.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and you guys can start talking about the NFC East if you want. I'm going to go ahead and start filling mine out on this one. This was another one that for me personally was pretty easy to go through. So, what are y'all's thoughts on the NFC East this year?
Cowboys are really interesting.
Yeah. I actually think I'm going to have Dallas winning this year.
Really?
The division.
Interesting. Okay. That's how I've got it breaking down. I think the Eagles are a much better team than Dallas. I don't understand how Dallas just stood pat and did basically nothing this offseason. Makes no sense to me whatsoever.
They signed Zeke.
Yeah, exactly. I don't get it, man. I mean, this is your window, and you're doing nothing with it.
Yeah,
they're losing pieces on the offensive line. They have CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson are your top 2 options in your passing offense. CeeDee is incredible, but like
he hasn't been paid yet either.
Yeah, he's not even in the house.
He'll get paid.
I think Philadelphia's defense is much better. I think the offense is going to see a bounce back. I think that bringing in oh shit. I went blank on his name. The offensive coordinator they brought in. Oh my God. Why am I going?
I can't remember either. The Eagles kind of
Kellen
Moore.
Oh,
Kellen Moore. Not that he's the best offensive coordinator in the world, but he's going to speed up the offense, which I think is going to help. And then the Eagles were like damn near dead last in pre-snap motion, and Kellen Moore is notorious for adding pre-snap motion to offenses, which I think is going to be a big help for the offense. So I think the offense will be closer to what we saw 2 years ago than what we saw last year, and I think the defense is just much better for compared to Dallas. So I've got Philly winning the division. Dallas second. I think Washington takes a step up this year. I'm I'm not as much of a Jaden Daniels guy as I am a Caleb Williams guy, but I do think that the kid can play. And so I think that he'll be enough to leapfrog the Giants, and I don't think they'll be. I think the Giants will be the last place team in the division, and might end up being the end of Brian Daboll in New York. And I'm not saying that that's the right thing because the roster is fucking terrible. It's certainly not Daboll's fault. And if he does get canned, then a team that needs a head coach that has a better roster is probably going to get a steal of a hire. But I could see the Giants parting ways with Daboll and Daniel Jones at the end of the year if things play out the way that I see that it is. Again, not that I think they should get rid of Daboll. They should get rid of Daniel Jones, though. Should have been done that shit. I don't know why they chose to
pay him,
tie themselves financially to him, but again, not Brian Daboll's fault. It kind of is, though, because he made Daniel Jones look as good as he did right before he got paid. But I don't get that. But so I've talked enough on the East. How do you, Landon? You said you got the Cowboys finishing on top.
I said I might. See, like this is the top of this division's tougher to call because I've got the same bottom as you do, but I think the Cowboys are still a little underrated. I think, man, Dak was so good last year.
He was
just so good. I thought if we're just like not splitting hairs or anything, I actually thought he probably should have been the MVP over Lamar Jackson.
He definitely had an argument.
And so I think with him going into a contract year this year, I think he's probably going to repeat the type of season he had. And if he does, it's going to be a pretty interesting, I guess, division to call because I'm still not completely sold on the coaching staff of the Eagles, even Sirianni. Apparently, there's a little bit of a rift even between with Hurts and Sirianni that had happened last year. And so I think if things aren't going that well, that could even, possibly rear its head again. From what I've read, they patched things up this offseason and stuff like that. But I mean, that's if your head coach and your quarterback are not communicating, that's like a death sentence for a team. And so it'll be interesting. There's a lot of dynamics there. But I do think the roster itself from top to bottom, I really like their draft. I am curious how they kind of mitigate the Jason Kelce retirement because of how good he was.
Apparently Jason Kelce handpicked his replacement too.
Yeah, so I'll be curious to see that. I mean, that all sounds good until you're actually on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll wait and see it before I start just buying in. But
fair.
Signing Saquon and AJ Brown's still there, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, still got a really good offensive line, Lane Johnson and those guys.
They brought in Saquon Barkley too.
Yeah, Barkley's there now, which I'm still kind of like, I mean, like if he's healthy, it's great. But his problem is he just can't stay on the field. And he's always dealing with some kind of little nagging things. So
I think they'll ask him to do less though.
Yeah.
And
he'll actually be a member of the offense instead of being the actual offense.
The offense, yeah.
Yep.
So I'm taking Dallas. I'll take Dallas.
Okay. All right. Jared, what you got?
I lean Drew on this one. Same order.
Okay. So you got
this is another one though where I think both of these top two teams, I think they both make the playoffs.
I
could see that. Yeah.
I can see that too. I think Dak is really good, and like I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves to. Like, but at the end of the day, I mean, the Eagles were red hot out of the jump last year, and then Hurts got hurt, and he never was the same after that. Even though he played, it wasn't the same player. Their style, their up tempo, like it was. They were very slow, like a slow offense the way they operated. But Dallas is. I mean, outside of the two guys, their defense is getting worse. Like it's getting older.
See, I actually think they kind of have a little bit of a bounce back season on defense. I think they've still got some really good players out there.
I mean, for them, they're going to have to because I don't trust the running game. I love CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, no, they're going to throw the ball a shit ton.
A shit ton. You want to talk about MVP odds? With how much the ball is going to be in Dak's hands. If you think the Cowboys win, the NFC East, you should go bet whatever the odds are for Dak to be MVP because he's going to win MVP because the dude's going to throw the ball 700 fucking times.
His name was mentioned quite a bit last year. Even.
I thought he should have been. I thought he should have been MVP.
He had an argument for sure.
Really good.
All right, there you go. NFC East. Now we save the best for last. The NFC Best or the NFC West, as you know, as it's otherly called. I am not going to go first on this one. Similar to what
I'll go first.
I got a feeling I know how it's going to shake out, but it could be interesting though because we got some Kyler's healthy. They added Marvin Harrison Jr.
I think the Rams win the division.
Shut the fuck up.
Dude, I think they win the division, bro.
I love that for me.
I think you want to talk about the most underrated quarterback in football, about Dak being underrated. The Los Angeles Rams have the most underrated quarterback in all of football. There are not five better quarterbacks in football than Matthew Stafford. And I will argue that till I'm blue in the face.
I just love hearing somebody else say it, man.
What that dude did last year was unbelievable. And he's not going to have he didn't have the stats that to show just how good he really was last year. But I mean, that guy was unbelievable. I think their offensive line's gotten better. I think their defensive line is probably I think overall the unit might be better, even though they lost Aaron Donald.
They have more depth.
That's what I'm saying. I think overall it might be a little bit better, but yes,
Aaron Donald is worth about 3 players. So
I love their secondary too. I'm a big fan of their secondary. I think they've got some really underrated players out there.
They made some improvements in the secondary for sure.
They killed their draft like usual, as they always do. Like not even just this year, but last year's draft was fantastic. They're already seeing dividends on that. I think with a healthy Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, if he can get healthy, which I think he will, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, he should be fine.
Yeah, all signs are pointing towards week 1.
Yeah, and I think with the offensive line's improvement that they're going to make along that offensive line, of course, the running game coming back as well. I'm just a big fan. I think, which is weird to say, I think Sean McVay's actually become a little underrated as a head coach.
I agree with that
because obviously you have the Super Bowl win, but you haven't heard much after that Super Bowl win because every time, leading up until that Super Bowl win, it was always just Sean McVay. And once they won that Super Bowl, you haven't really heard that anymore. And nobody's really singing the praises of Sean McVay. He's still, to me, one of the best, if not the best, head coach in football. I think him and Andy Reid
that was the name I was going to throw out there.
I think him and Andy Reid are probably right there. And then I think he's a better head coach than Kyle Shanahan is.
I agree.
I think he's unreal. And I think Stafford, man, people just don't talk about how good that guy is enough.
No.
People will argue that he's not a top 5 quarterback. You can't name me 5 better quarterbacks than Matthew Stafford. You can try, but you'll be wrong.
You're not going to hear an argument out of me, man. I try not to be super biased. It is difficult because whenever I love hard.
But I think the thing is with them too is like they kind of went through after that Super Bowl. They kind of went through a little like quasi like mini rebuild. Like I said, not that necessarily they were rebuilding, but it was kind of more like a reloading.
Yeah, and they dealt with injuries. Like Stafford was banged up, Kupp was banged up, and so.
And the offensive line was banged up, and but I think they've got it figured out now. I think that the secondary might be the most underrated secondary in football. I really love their defensive line. Their linebackers are pretty decent. Stafford is
Landon, let me ask you, man, how do you feel about knowing that Stafford was looking at houses in the Indianapolis area?
This is me to fuck off. If we had Stafford instead of Carson Wentz, that's
Jesus, dude. Yeah.
That team's going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. The happiest part.
The only downside is we probably wouldn't have Shane Steichen right now, and
Yeah, that's
we would have
true.
Frank
Yeah, because
Reich,
Stafford would have saved Frank Reich's job.
100%.
Um,
But yeah,
my favorite part of the whole Stafford saga by far was the fact that Kyle Shanahan was told nothing's going to change, nothing's going to happen. You can go to bed. Nothing's happening on the Stafford front because they were after Stafford too, and and then McVay and
Snoop saying on vacation.
they're literally in Cabo together in the same thing. He's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go trade for this guy at the wee hours of the night." And Shanahan has to wake up to see that not only are they out on Stafford, he went to the Rams, and then Stafford turned around and delivered a Super Bowl, and they still ain't got one. Still ain't got one.
Yeah, I think San Francisco,
Choking ass team.
I
You
think
talk
this
about
is,
overrated teams. People talk about how the Cowboys are overrated.
I think San Francisco, this is the year they take a step back. I think this is the year they take a step back.
Step back to the point they don't finish second in the division.
No, if they finish second.
Okay.
There's still
I had to tease it up. I had to tease it up just to
there's
see.
There's still a great roster, and I still think Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. People will argue that with me too, but
I think that is an accurate statement. I think he is a good quarterback.
And just the weapons they have, especially, we'll see what happens with Brandon Ayuk. I like the Ricky Pearsall pick for them as well. Obviously McCaffrey being there, if he can stay healthy, probably the best player in football.
George Kittle's fucking incredible.
Kittle's.
I hate Debo with the depths of my soul. And it's like a respect type of hate. Like that dude just absolutely shits on the Rams every single time we play the 49ers. And I say we. Every time the Rams play the 49ers, he just goes fucking bananas and it drives me crazy. He's such a good football player and I hate him so much. Yeah, the offense is loaded, man. The offense is loaded. I don't know what
this is the year. I think their defense kind of takes a step back.
That's where the question marks I have too. Is the defense and then the offensive line separate from Trent Williams?
I have question marks on the offense, and to be honest with you, before
the offensive line, I probably would have a little bit of question marks about.
Before you guys started talking,
I'm concerned about left tackle though.
Definitely,
I was thinking San Francisco.
they're good there.
San Francisco was going to win that division, but I think you guys have talked me out of it. I think I'm going to Rams as well.
Look at what is happening right now.
Well, this Ayuk thing is a big deal. I don't
Ultimately,
know.
I think he ends up in
I don't think he does, man.
I think they.
So the thing with me with Ayuk is if the Niners wanted to pay him,
they would have paid him.
Why haven't they just paid him?
But they're notorious for hardball tactics. Like
Debo didn't have to. Debo didn't have to
already hurting too, and
I think he still finds a way to. They find a way to work it out.
Well, boys, I thought that I was going to be alone on this island, and so I was going to wait to write it in. But by God, you guys have lifted my spirits, and so I can go ahead and finish out my NFC West. I
have the same list.
Okay, a week ago I probably would have had I probably would have had Seattle. I probably would have had Seattle 3 a week ago, but with the whole Geno Smith stuff.
What's up with Geno? I haven't heard anything.
He's dealing with injuries right now.
Oh.
And if
Drew Lock,
if they got to roll out Drew Lock, that's a big yikes, brother. And so I think Kyler coming back, them adding Marvin Harrison Jr. The defense is still somewhat suspect, but they've been pouring draft capital into the defense too.
And Trey McBride, I think, too, being
Trey McBride's a stud, yeah. And even the ancillary pieces, like I think Greg Dortch is an underrated receiver. I think Zay Jones is an underrated receiver. Like that offense, they drafted Trey Benson, who's going to be a really explosive, nice counterpart to James Conner as long as they're both healthy. That offense is going to be a lot of fun, man. It's going to cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, we're actually
problems for teams last year.
We're getting a better handle on things because they're in joint practices with Indy this week. They start tomorrow. Joint practices with Arizona.
Nice.
Yeah, because of Gannon and Steichen with the Eagles. So
I'm still surprised that they do joint practices. That just seems wildly unnecessary and risky.
It's the most necessary
2024.
part of preseason. It's the best part.
I'm not saying it's not good for us as fans.
Oh, well, not even that. It's like, I mean, if you talk to any NFL type of people, any NFL personnel, they get more out of joint practices than they do out of preseason games.
I don't disagree with that either.
Because they're able. Because
they're
what
going
happens
against people that aren't their own guys, and it raises
not only that, but
on the field and things like
yeah,
that.
but they run, so you got the ones against the ones, the twos against the twos, but you also run your actual playbook in joint practices because you're practicing your actual plays for the season. What you get in the preseason is basically just the evaluation of players at the bottom of the roster. You don't get
what you get with joint practices is you get Aaron Donald swinging a helmet at your number ones. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying I'm surprised they do it. I agree with everything you said. I'm just surprised that they see all the fights that come from the joint practices and they're like, let's keep rolling it out. I know it's part of football. Like I'm cool with it. I'm good with it. I'm just surprised NFL teams are like, let's
as long as it doesn't get out of hands, they're fine. They don't.
Yeah. No, guys are going to scuffle. It is what it is. It's fucking football.
Michael Wilson.
Jared, how does your? I'm lower on Michael Wilson than
I was a big fan of him coming out of Stanford.
I think that Dortch and Zay Jones are both better NFL receivers than him. But that's also a good problem to have if you're the Cardinals, though. Jared, how does the 3 and 4 shake out?
Arizona, Seattle.
Okay. Man, the NFC was pretty.
I'll tell you something too, and this will really make Drew very happy. I think the Rams might be the biggest sleeper team to finish first in their conference.
I mean, whenever you look across the board at these first place teams,
I think they have a real shot to be first place in the NFC.
The only one I can see in the NFC that would be that has.
I think it's going to be between them and Green Bay.
I mean, if the Bears somehow got the 1 seed, that would be the biggest shock.
The biggest shock, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll go from.
I think Philly will still.
They're still a year or two away. But
I think Philly will be the biggest threat if they end up being the division
winner. I think that division, because I think Washington's going to be a little bit better than what people think too.
Washington seems to always get one from Philly every year.
That's what I'm saying. I think that division's going to almost kind of like eat their own. So where I don't know if
I also think the NFC West is going to be a very difficult division.
I think with the Rams and 49ers,
Arizona's going to cause problems for teams.
They don't ever cause problems for the Rams, but they cause problems for the rest of the division. The Rams have pretty historically owned the Cardinals.
I think like those two teams, but I think the rest of the division is kind of playing catch up to those two. And I think you might have a split with the Rams and 49ers.
I like what Seattle's building. I like Seattle's roster. It's just
they're just not there in their
question mark. Yeah, like if you could put Kyler Murray on,
they wanted Richardson. They tried to move up for Richardson.
God, I'm so glad they didn't do that. Fuck, that would have been a nightmare.
They were the biggest threat. They tried to trade up for him with Houston to land Richardson, but they're just not.
Giants the worst team in the NFC.
Yes.
Yep.
Them or Carolina.
Them or the NFC South loser, whether it ends up being Carolina or the Saints. I think that's. And
I think the Giants. I think they've got some good pieces. I really love their defense.
They have nothing on offense outside of Malik Neighbors. That's it. Malik Neighbors is the meme of that supercar sitting underneath the carport outside of the shit house. Yeah, that is Malik Neighbors that is Malik Neighbors in a nutshell. The rest of that, Devin Singletary is their running back one.
Well, Andrew Thomas he's a great left tackle.
Yeah, offensive line aside, I'm speaking like offensive.
Well, the rest of their offensive line's kind of.
Don't they have another tackle too that isn't bad? Or am I mistaken?
They drafted Neal in the first round.
That's what it is. Yeah,
and he's been horrendous.
Yeah, that's right.
Big on Daniel Bellinger.
He had the draft capital, but
but I mean, the guy's got talent, so maybe that's also the dumbest. You take a guy that spent his entire career, not even just high school and college playing left tackle.
And then move him to right tackle.
Yeah, they drafted that high and they move him to right tackle. They're like, well, why is he struggling? Like it's like trying.
That's the meme of fucking the guy that's riding his bike down the street and then sticks his own stick in his pegs and wrecks. And it's like, how could you do this to me?
I've seen that work like a handful of times. Like Penei Sewell, it works.
The Giants are a walking fucking meme, man, and that's why I think that so many people after this season are going to be out of a job. And good for Brian Daboll. Daboll, I am rooting for you to get fired, and I don't mean that in any bad way whatsoever, because you're going to get out of there and you're going to land a head coaching job again somewhere better.
Hopefully
for him. I don't know how it could possibly get worse, unless the Saints can Dennis Allen and then he takes.
Oh, it can get worse. You could, I mean, at least the Giants owner actually cares.
You want to talk about sucky head coaches, though. Dennis Allen, he is at the top of the list. That dude fucking sucks. If I played for the Saints, I would ask for a release. The dude gave one backward ass compliment and then still took it back. And that was he kind of sort of said a nice thing about one player finally, and then was like, but there's still room for him to suck and for me to have to take all this back. And it's just like, Dennis Allen is fucking ass. And I would be so pissed if I was a Saints fan. I would be so annoyed. The ownership just constantly.
I'm probably gonna get blocked on Twitter for this, man. And there's nothing against Derek. I don't mind Derek Carr, but man, I don't see how he can. He needs a very strong roster around him.
Like the
Jets.
Jets.
Got that.
Yeah,
like Derek Carr on the Jets might be okay.
Yeah, I think he'd probably do just fine on the Jets.
But Derek Carr himself,
not as good as what Aaron Rodgers is going to be. But
yeah, so I mean, Daboll to Carolina might be worse, but I think they found their head coach though.
Yeah, they just hired their guys.
I think Carolina's gonna be bad, but I think they're gonna improve from last year.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think they improved, dude.
I don't know. I mean, I've got to see something out of Bryce, like anything. Like you got to show me just anything.
He definitely has something to prove, but he also, I mean, you want to talk about a quarterback getting drafted into a horrible situation. Like the coaching staff was ass, the roster was ass, top to bottom.
Yeah, but
even working with nothing.
No, I agree. But even then, like some of the decisions and
him himself, he also did not look good. But
you gotta be better.
Yeah.
But we'll see. He actually seems to have a coaching staff around him now that will kind of game plan things.
They're getting in playmakers. Like Jonathan Brooks was the clear best running back in the draft.
Yeah,
Obviously, he's got to get healthy, but they got Jonathan Brooks. They got Xavier Legette. They traded for Deontay Johnson. They drafted JT Sanders to play tight end from Texas, which will be fun. Yeah, like he's. I mean, his testing numbers left some shit to be desired, but there was some stuff on tape that was fun to watch. So, he's kind of a mixed bag as a prospect, but it's still an upgrade over fucking Tommy Trimble. Like their weapons are considerably better than they were last year. The coaching staff is better than it was last year. I think there are a lot better vibes going on. Like if we're just talking vibes-based analysis here, I think the vibes around Carolina are a lot better than they are in New Orleans.
For sure.
So,
plus, I mean, you don't have
you know what?
You don't have coaches trying to backstab.
Talk yourself into it.
We're still on the NFC. We haven't ended the show yet. We're still live. You can't say that this was. Yeah, I talked myself into it. New Orleans sucks.
Yeah, hey, you know what? Pencil me in as well.
Yeah, let's go. We're changing lives, man. Live on the show.
We haven't locked anything yet.
That's right. Live on the show. Any other picks you guys want to change last minute before we get out of here? Because we're almost rolling on 2 hours here, so we probably need to wrap this thing up at some point.
Yeah, I need to go to bed.
Because once we hit the end stream button, the shit's locked and loaded.
I'm good.
So I'll flip it. We got the NFC. It's pretty locked in. I'll flip it over one time to the AFC. Guys can take a look. We got Ravens, Bengals, Ravens, Texans, Colts, Texans, Jets, Dolphins, Jets, Chiefs. I think we could probably ignore the AFC West. That one's pretty good to be locked in. I feel pretty good about all these divisions outside of the AFC East. That one.
I feel good
That
about
was
the
tough.
NFC. The one that I don't feel good. I mean, like just being is probably the North. I think. Well, no, I feel good about that. I feel good about all of it.
NFC North, NFC West, AFC East. Those were
NFC
the
North was
toughest
the
for me.
hardest for me.
Yeah, NFC North is tough. Both of the Norths are tough.
Yeah, AFC North as well. Yeah, both of those. Brutal.
All right, boys. It's locked in. We're locked and loaded. Next episode, we will take our division winners, and then we will each pick the wild card teams, and we are going to put together playoff brackets, and we are going to correctly 100%, no misses, predict who is going to advance in the playoffs and who's going to win the Super Bowl, who's going to win MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. We are picking all that with 100% certainty. All hits, no misses.
Yep.
This was step one.
Kansas City.
Final step, next show. Kansas City, we're all good. we don't even need another show. Kansas City, Pat Mahomes, wrap it up.
Yep. All right. Well, if you guys enjoyed this, seems we had a few people in here. We appreciate it, even though we're not on Twitter, but it will be because I'm not calling it X because Elon's ruined this. It's Twitter. It's always
Twitter
Twitter.
forever.
We will be posting this on Twitter if you need 2 hours basically of us going through whatever. That way I can piss more people off. And we'll be back here in a couple of weeks right before the season starts to go through our, like Drew was saying, the playoffs and awards and all that kind of stuff and get ready for the season. We are just right around the corner, just right around 4 weeks away. Preseason week 2 starts, I believe, Thursday, Friday, something like that.
I think it's
Something like that.
Yeah, so we'll be excited to see. I mean, the rookie quarterbacks looked really good. They all looked really good. So I'm excited to see more of them, especially Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, those guys. I'm excited for it. So that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will be back. You can catch all of us on our other things, Drew Fantasy and Frames, me over at the Blue State Thursday nights, Jared. Just being Jared.
You can follow me on Twitter or on X now. I'm officially back on X.
Yeah.
Football season's back, so Jared's back, baby. We are so fucking back.
Yeah, we're back. So thank you guys so much, and we will see you here in a couple weeks.